What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Seattle Emeralds MyNBA series here. Part one of the first offseason. I guess technically the second offseason we've gone through, because technically we went through an offseason last year at the beginning of the season. But, you know, this is our first one as an NBA team. Unfortunately, LeBron James does call it quits. Same thing with Chris Paul. Kind of expected that. Al Horford. DeMar DeRozan, I think he's probably going to stay for another year. He's under contract. I don't really see any reason why he wouldn't. Klay Thompson stuck in Austin trying to retire. That ain't happening, Klay. Sorry. TJ McConnell under a 3-year contract. Definitely not retiring. You know, normally NBA players don't, you know, it occasionally happens, but NBA players don't typically just retire in the middle of their, you know, long-term deal. But that is where this stands. Any Hall of Fame inductees, obviously, LeBron and Chris Paul. LeBron averaging 26 for his career, 7.5 rebounds, 7 assists, 1.5 steals, and almost 0.8 blocks a game. 4 MVPs, 21 All-Stars. That's crazy. 4 championships, 4 Finals MVPs. He's All-NBA first team too many times to count. All defensive first team 5 times Rookie of the Year. Obviously, 1 time. We can't all be Ben Simmons. I mean, yeah. Chris Paul, great career as well. Unfortunately for him, not getting a championship, so that's going to hurt as well. I imagine both of their jerseys will be retired. Yeah, Chris Paul gets retired with the Clippers, LeBron with the Heat, with the Cavs, and surprisingly enough, with the Lakers as well. That's shocking to see. I wouldn't have expected him to get a retirement with the Lakers. We're going to reject all of these. Why would you want to get rid of backcourt violations? That would be absolute chaos. But I do think this is a funner idea to keep this the Kobe idea, where, you know, you get to whatever point and then end the fourth quarter, you have to score 40 points higher than whatever the team's total is. I think that's a good idea, as we are preparing ourselves for the first part of this offseason, which has all to do with the draft lottery. But before we do that, let's take a quick look at this roster and, you know, where we stand. Obviously, you know, we've got our two-way guys are going to be expiring, but let's take a look at this roster and what contracts are going to be expiring, which will be the free agency period will be next episode. It won't be in this episode, but I figured let's, you know, look at where we're at as of right now. We currently have no point guards under contract. Obviously, Isaiah Collier will probably be our priority at that point guard position to bring back. I don't necessarily love any of the point guards in this draft, and we have a 2-year cheap team option for Isaiah Collier. So if we can sign him to that and he goes and gets better, I think he's going to be a really good option for us. Mike Conley, probably going to sign for a cheaper deal with a contender, but, you know, I wouldn't hate bringing him back. I mean, you know, just as a veteran presence. He's got some badges. Maybe we could use him to train Isaiah Collier. And Jalil Bethea does have a 1-year team option, which we may or may not pick up. That'll be something that we look at as we go through the free agency period. At the shooting guard position, we've got Ace Bailey, obviously under contract for 3 more seasons at minimum. And then, you know, by then we're going to have to give him a major contract. Shooting guard's pretty set. We've got Malik Monk for 1 more year. Maybe look to trade Malik Monk, because do I think he brings enough to the table to be a $20 million guy, and then most likely a $21 million guy next year? I don't know, but he might be one of those trade deadline deals. Johnny Furphy's under contract on a pretty solid rookie deal. I mean, 1 year, and then another team option at $2.5 million. And Pele Larson is expiring. I'm probably not going to look to bring him back. Even though he does have a team option. I think, you know, he didn't really play a whole lot for us. I don't think he's going to get all that much better at 25 years old. So probably going to be the end of Pele Larson's time here in Seattle after 1 year. Corey Kispert, though, he's locked up for a while on what is, in my opinion, a really, you know, solid team-friendly deal, about $13 million a year. It actually is more this year than the next 2 seasons after that. City Sissoko is on an expiring deal in may or may not come back. I mean, he is 22, so he can get better, but I don't know how limited he is going to be offensively when it comes to progressing. PJ Tucker obviously is going to be gone. We don't really have a need for a 41-year-old 6'5" small forward. I don't know why he didn't retire, to be honest. Simon Fontecchio is expiring. He's going to be one of those guys that I look to bring back. Same thing. Well, not same thing. Jay Will is another guy that I'm happy that we're going to have kept around on a very team-friendly deal, $5 million a year for the next 2 seasons. At the center position, we do have Goga for 1 more season. And then we're going to be able to bring back Adem Bona on a 2-year option if we choose to do so, but he is currently injured. And now it is time to get into the draft lottery. As of right now, let's take a look at the projections. Right now, we're projected to get the #1 overall pick. This is what it's kind of looking like generally going out of the lottery. The Bucks or the Mavericks, actually now, since we added 2 teams, are the final team projected to get into the draft lottery. Let's see where everybody ends up falling. As I mentioned, we actually have a second lottery pick potentially from the Timberwolves. Now, I don't know. Let's take a look real quick and see if that's protected. I don't believe that it is. Can we not look at our draft picks from here? I guess we can't look at our draft picks, but I'm not sure if that 16th overall pick is protected to the lottery or, you know, maybe like top 10, top 5. I can't remember. I know we made that trade with Minnesota in the Brook Lopez deal, but here we go. We are going to stand at 16, so we do actually get that selection. Yeah, pretty shocking. I kind of forgot about that. At 15, the Pelicans are going to stand there, so no jumping yet. The Pelicans have the 15th overall pick. The Bucks, that's actually coming from Milwaukee in the swaps there. The 14th pick is projected to go to the Grizzlies. Let's see where it stands, and it stays with Memphis. The Grizzlies have the 14th and the 20th pick corresponding in the 2026 NBA draft. The winner of the 13th pick is going to go to the Knicks, so nothing surprising here. The Knicks lost Jalen Brunson due to a torn ACL, which led to them getting eliminated in the play-in tournament, so they have a bit of a reload offseason here. The 12th pick stands with Toronto, so no surprises yet, which is good because the moment somebody jumps into the top 5, that means our chances of falling are going to be exponentially greater. So we really do not want a lot of falling. Last year, the Raptors selected Kadeem Malik, the 7'2" center out of Duke, to be their, you know, kind of project guy behind Jakob Poeltl. We'll see where they go this year in the draft. At number 11, the Hawks get a 3.2% chance to jump. They stand at 11, so the Hawks trying to rebuild around Trey. That one comes from Sacramento, and I believe what would be the I don't know what trade they would have got that from, but it would have been one of their, you know, trades the last few years. The Bullets are projected to get number 10, and they stay Austin Bullets in their second year now. Just like the Emeralds, they stand at number 10 with their second draft as an NBA franchise. And we are now in the top 9 with no movement yet. That makes me very nervous because I imagine that means somebody from 9 to 6 is going to jump up. And will it be the Pistons? It will not. The Pistons stay at 9. As the reporter says, the 10th consecutive year with an NBA lottery pick. Very crazy to say. That one comes from Brooklyn. However, now the Atlanta Hawks looking to get another lottery pick, and there is the first jump. The Hawks have leapfrogged into the top 4, the Magic via Phoenix. The Phoenix Suns had a really bad season despite a very talented roster. They don't even have their first round pick. That goes to Orlando at number 8, and the Hawks take up one of the top 4 spots. Only 3 spots to go. That's not looking very good for us right now. The Bulls sit at number 7. If they jump, that will ruin our chances. Okay, the Bulls stay at number 7. 15th lottery selection all time. They haven't been very good since MJ, if we're being honest. They had a few years there with D Rose, but other than that, not a lot of success. At number 6, the Hornets jump into the top 4. So now there's only 2 spots. The Sacramento Kings are going to be selecting at number 6 via Detroit. So the Pistons don't own their own pick, but they will get a pick in the top 10 via a trade with Brooklyn. The Kings stand at number 6, so they've got a chance to maybe get help there for Dylan Harper and Sabonis. The Jazz at number 5, as we have 4 spots left to go. The Hawks and the Hornets both already have a guaranteed top 4 pick. Where will they stand? The Hornets sit at number 4. They are projected at number 4, and they're going to stand at number 4. So the Hornets usually drop in the draft. This year, they actually jumped up with that Clippers draft pick, as we are now getting to the final 3 teams. The Atlanta Hawks at number 3 are going to stay, and we are in competition for the number 2 overall pick between us and the Houston Rockets. Now, think about that. The Houston Rockets just made the the Eastern or Western Conference semifinals, and they took the Thunder to 7 games, and they now have a chance to have a top 2 selection in the draft. That is crazy to think about, but let's see where this one goes. At number 2, the Houston Rockets will jump us, and we stand at number 2, which means the Houston Rockets are going to get the number 1 pick in the 2026 NBA draft, where they have a chance to select a very promising prospect. Will they trade it? Will they keep it? That is the question every outlet will be asking themselves. Wow. Houston jumps us. I mean, I'm not crazily mad, but I do think there's pretty much a consensus top 3 in this draft. And right now, Houston has basically the pick of whoever they want in the draft with number 1 overall. And that trade, that wasn't even their draft pick. They actually still, no, they give up their later round pick to the Philadelphia 76ers. That pick at number 1 is via the Washington Wizards. So what a draft lottery. That one was eventful. We are going to keep Rajon Rondo around. I mean, is there any interesting coaches out there? Joe Mazzulla is out there. He's probably going to, I would imagine, get offers from the Celtics to bring him back. Steve Kerr's out there. I imagine he's going to get a lot of offers. Mike D'Antoni. Do we bring Mike D'Antoni out of retirement, and do we stick with Rajon Rondo? I think we're pretty safe with Rajon Rondo, in my opinion. I don't really think there's a lot of, hey, we definitely need to go out there and get rid of head coach Rajon Rondo just after 1 year. But we should, maybe go out there after a different head scout. I think this guy has a little bit better statistics, in my opinion. We're going to sign him, or her, might I say him, Jessica Payne, bring her in as our head scout. We're going to keep Rajon Rondo around. He's younger. He's got a little bit more player experience than Mike D'Antoni does. And now let's get into the draft combine. Let's see where everyone stands now. Obviously, right now, where we are, we could honestly take any position. Point guard's an idea. Shooting guard is pretty good. That's probably the only spot we won't go. Small forward we could go. We could go power forward. We could go center. There's really any direction we could go. If we're talking about just straight up athleticism, maybe AJ Campbell, which he's not going to be, like a number 2 overall pick. He would be much farther down in the draft. The most agile guys, Chucky Caldwell, Dion McDaniel, probably looking to be a second round pick. The most athletic or highest flying guy is shooting guard Paris Hunt, who's currently going late first round, 20 to 26 range. He's the 6'5" shooting guard out of South Carolina, mainly a perimeter defender. He's followed up by Sean Wesley, who's the power forward that is a board-hunting interior scorer, as well as Oho Wombom, the two-way slashing combo guard out of Liberty, who was originally born in South Africa, I believe it was. Sebastian Valentine sits there with the 43-inch vertical. So this is a really athletic draft. Let's see who does the most bench presses. Obviously, Bruce Hood is there. Eric Floyd, a guy that's probably going late second round, but he's a very strong center. Matt Gravitt, Rondé Wood, Glenn Griffin is there. Julio Owens is there. These guys are really, really strong. Standing 15-foot jumper is led by Gerard Pickett. So that's pretty impressive. I mean, I knew his mid-range game was strong, so that's a good sign, in my opinion, for his offensive progression. He's not good at shooting threes, but it is what it is. Averaged 27, 8, 4, 1, and 2 blocks a game in college. Very solid output for him. Drew Carl came in second, the point guard out of Maryland. He doesn't have any statistics for some reason. That's one thing I will say about 2K. For some reason, the college stats are kind of glitched. I think it resets whenever you edit players, so it's probably my fault. But I wish, I'm editing these guys at the very beginning of the season. I wish it would let me edit them and then, have the guys still have college stats. Moving 15-foot jumper goes to Craig Winnington. Gerard Pickett is there. Standing college three. This is what we really care about. Jake Cole is there for standing college three, as well as Drew Carl. That's really impressive. He's not necessarily a three-point shooter. Bradley Kersey, similar to like Conrad Knuppel out of LSU. He's one of the better shooters in this draft. Ruben Martin Jr., a solid shooting option as well. But really what matters is how they shoot in NBA threes. And let's see who's leading the way. Bradley Kersey, as expected. He is currently expected to go, around late first round, early second round projections. Yeah, that's pretty fair for Bradley Kersey. Tad Conley's getting, mid first round projections. He might be a guy we look into with our 16th overall pick if he's still there. Same thing with Jake Cole, who's, one of the better big man shooters in the draft, or Ian Longley is there. If we really, really want some offensive output when it comes to, backup point guard position. Moving NBA threes, Jake Cole is the number one guy. Ian Longley is there. Rodney Moody, very solid option, maybe late first round, 69 overall shooting guard is what we have him at right now as far as the scouting report goes. He's got Jamal Crawford comparison, so maybe he comes in, becomes a, 6-man of the year candidate. We can replace Malik Monk with a guy like Rodney Moody, but thankfully we do have some pre-draft workouts we can go through. I believe we're available. Yeah, we can invite 10 guys. I'd be dumb not to invite Cliff Russell. I mean, what are the odds that Cliff Russell makes this to us at number 2? I don't know. So obviously we're going to bring Cliff Russell in. I mean, what are the odds he makes it to the 2nd overall pick? I don't know. Pretty much the consensus number 1 guy. Right now, the 2nd guy is looking to be Rondé Wood, but in my opinion, I don't really want a defensive-minded center. I want a guy that can score a little bit. Rondé Wood's okay. Maybe we can develop him into that offensive threat, but he's got a pretty wide range, and that's what I say. We wanted that number 1 overall pick because there's pretty much a consensus number 1 guy. That is Cliff Russell. The rest of the draft is very debatable. I mean, you've got Rondé Wood projected at 2 here. He's projected at 7 here. He's projected at 5 here. Glenn Griffin is kind of projected to be a 3 to 5 range, so we're going to bring him in. And we're going to see who's the most impressive. Trey Washington, the 6'4" point guard out of North Carolina. He's a bit on the older side, but we do definitely need a point guard. So I wouldn't mind bringing him in. Musiala, corner call, one of the better scorers in the draft. How can he play on defense? We'll see, but he's got a pretty wide range as well, going from 3 to 2 to 6. Let's see who else I'm interested in going after. Not Rad Ware. Jake Cole, maybe if he makes it to 16, would be pretty interesting. Chip Jenkins is there. Drew Carl. I mean, we've got 3 more invites. I'm going to go after Gerard Pickett. And then let's go down a little bit. Ian Longley is there. We could bring him in as a bit of a shorter. Where's the guy that I looked at earlier? Rodney Moody was the one, I believe, that hit some good moving 3. So, yeah, that'll be our 10 invites. Actually, before I do that, I'll be right back. I'm going to take away my control of all the other teams so they can do their stuff on their own. Because, yeah, they don't need me to pick all their stuff for them. So, our 10 invites, let's see who performed the best. The fastest was Rodney Moody in the 3-quarter sprint. He was pretty close behind, followed behind by Cliff Russell, Trey Washington, as well as Ian Longley. Drew Carl, a little slow for the, for a point guard. I thought he was a little bit more athletic than that, if I'm going to be honest, but not absolutely terrible. Lane agility, Cliff Russell, I mean, just continues to look like far and away the number 1 guy. Unfortunately, we don't have the number 1 overall pick. Rodney Moody's pretty solid as well. I'm really liking what I see from Rodney Moody as a bit of a mid-first round. Maybe he can make it to the 2nd round. That would be really interesting. Most vertical is going to go Cliff Russell. Trey Washington, who really reminds me of Isaiah Collier. We're definitely not going to be taking him number 2 overall, in my opinion, but he's definitely, really a solid prospect. Bench press, Rondé Wood is there, the 7-foot, 20-year-old center out of Jackson State. Standing 15-foot jump shot is going to go to Cliff Russell. I mean, he looks so good moving. 15-foot jump shot is going to go to Cliff Russell as well. Is there any way we can, see and compare his combine versus his... Yeah, I don't think you can do that. Standing college 3, Cliff Russell. That's crazy. Musiala corner call is there as well. We don't really need a shooting guard, but I mean, he's 6'5". You think he could move over to small forward, but maybe we'd have to move Ace Bailey over to small forward. But really what we care about is standing NBA 3, which is Cliff Russell. Goodness gracious, this guy is going to be huge in the NBA. Houston is about to get another star. That's crazy. Moving NBA 3 is going to go to Cliff Russell and Rodney Moody. Pretty solid. So I'm really looking at getting him as a late... Maybe if we can get him in the 2nd round, that'd be really cool. But we'll see where we stand, as I think it's time. Let's take a look at some of the mock drafts right now. Let's see where they have everything going. So, according to Sporting News, the Rockets, as expected, are going to step up to the podium and take Cliff Russell. We're going to step up and take Glenn Griffin. That's what they expect. He does have Dirk Nowitzki comparisons. He's 22 years old, so he's a little bit older. Looks like he's got an okay three-point ball. Solid mid-range game. Close game is okay as well. He's pretty quick for the power forward position. Unfortunately, he's not all that great when it comes to rim protection and rebounding, which is not really what we need, but he's pretty quick. Bruce Hood is kind of the consensus number 3 guy at 7'3". He definitely cannot shoot. Same thing with Oho Wombom. But Musiala Cornercall looks really solid. 21-year-old shooting guard out of Nigeria. I just don't know if we can justify going a shooting guard in back-to-back seasons. Sebastian Valentine looks like an option here at 16. I don't really like a small forward that can't shoot the ball at all. So I don't think that's going to be our option there. Chip Jenkins would be a nice pickup at 16 if he makes it that far, because he's actually a solid shooter. And let's see where everybody else has us going. So the NBA 2K mock draft has Cliff Russell number 1. It has Musiala Cornercall number 2. That's pretty interesting. Here's a look at everybody else. And then in the lottery, 16 has us going Sebastian Valentine. Here they have us going Sean Wesley at 16. Sean Wesley, not really a shooting power forward, but he's more of a athletic lob threat that can rim protect and get rebounds. So he's a pretty solid option. And then here they have Cliff Russell 1 and us taking Oho Wombom number 2, which I don't really think that's much of an option because his limitations as far as the offensive side of the ball. But 2026 NBA draft is just around the corner. The Rockets have the number 1 overall pick. Where do they go? Are they going to get a small forward in Cliff Russell who has Hall of Fame potential? Let's see. And if we look at the Rockets roster, I mean, the worst part is small forward is their lowest or their worst position. So they were set up perfectly. I mean, power forward, you've got Jabari Smith Jr., Noah Esingé. Center, you've got Al P. You've got Paul Reed, Ousmane Dieng, who they brought over from OKC. Point guard, you've got De'Aaron Fox, Amen Thompson. Boogie Fland is there. Tyrese Proctor's there. Shooting guard, you've got Jalen Green, Reed Shepherd, Kevin Huerter. Some of these guys are expiring, obviously. But small forward is really their highest need. And that is going to just hurt that they get to take him. But the pick is in. With the first pick in the 2023 NBA draft, the Houston Rockets select Cliff Russell, small forward out of UCLA. Russell is most undoubtedly the best player in this draft. As Lang Whitaker says, his potential is second to none in the entire draft. As we now step up to the podium, we have gotten 14 offers. I'm not really interested unless the Rockets are, trying to give us Cliff Russell, No, they're not going to do that. Steph Curry, I don't really want Steph Curry, to be honest. Nobody else is really all that interesting. This is not a bad trade, but I don't want to give up a future pick. Asa Newell is not a bad pickup, but I don't want to trade out of this draft, as now we can kind of have our pick of the rest of the draft. I mean, where do we go if you are standing here? Shooting guard is probably your only non-need, but you don't have a lot of offensive output from Rondé Wood. I mean, he's got solid shooting. I mean, it's okay, pretty much position average, and I think he can definitely get better. He's 7 feet tall. He's not that quick. Unfortunately, his defense, though, is really solid. 85 block, 86 offensive rebound, 93 defensive rebound. He's got a 48 speed, which is pretty much on par for the position average. The next guy up would probably be like a Glenn Griffin, who's 6'8". He's got a solid shooting touch, but he doesn't really do too much outside of that. Matt Gravitt, I don't really like. I mean, he's much better from mid-range, but doesn't really bring the 3 ball. Can't really rebound as well. Rim protection is there, really high, but he's really quick for a center. He's a very, very quick center. Trey Washington, I don't know if we're going to go Trey Washington at number 2 overall. Stephen Longley, what does he look like? Not the greatest. Bruce Hood, not the greatest. Radware. Jake Cole is there. I mean, Jake Cole I like because his name sounds like J. Cole, but defensively just not very good. Rebounding, not very good. He can't protect the rim. I don't really like taking him number 2 overall. Tag Conley is there. Tag Conley is a really good shooter, but I think we can definitely get him later in the draft. I'm really leaning towards Rondé Wood. Rondé Wood, 7 feet tall. Dunking is there as far as standing dunk, driving dunk, not so much. Maybe he can become a lob threat. What does his post game look like? Post hook, it's solid. Post control is on average. He's pretty much average at everything, but he's a slightly better rim protector. No, he's actually still average rim protector, and he's also average rebounder and average defensive rebounder. That's kind of crazy, but man, potential is A+, so he can really develop into somebody better than he is right now. What is Glenn Griffin's potential? Let's see, at 22 years old. It's only a C+. I think we have to go Rondé Wood. I mean, is he the win now option? No, but we're not looking to win a championship next season. We're looking to develop and make this team better. And I think Rondé Wood is going to give us the best chance to do so. So, with the second pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Seattle Emeralds are going to select center Rondé Wood out of Jackson State. Of the players that appeared at the Combine, Wood had the fastest three-quarter court sprint at 3.54 seconds, so maybe his statistical speed is not all that it cuts out to be. Maybe he's a little bit quicker than that on the actual NBA court. I'm fine with that selection. I think that's a solid pickup. Do I think, there's probably higher overall right now? Yes, definitely. There's definitely going to be somebody drafted in the next few picks that's probably 2 or 3 points higher, but I think this is a future selection as we now let the Atlanta Hawks have their pick of the rest of these players left on the board. With the third pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Atlanta Hawks are going to select Glenn Griffin, Dirk Nowitzki 2.0 out of San Diego State. The Hawks are going to hope to pair him alongside Trae Young as a bit of a John Collins-esque replacement, but my main worry is how similar he plays to Jalen Johnson and how they'll play on the floor together. One of them is going to have to slide over to that small forward position. Glenn Griffin led all power forwards at the draft combine with 23 reps in the bench press. As we now get to the Charlotte Hornets, who had an impressive playoff run, making it into the second round before losing to the Celtics in 6, as they now have the 4th overall pick. And with the 4th pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Charlotte Hornets are going to make a trade. The Hornets are going to give up this first-round pick and next year's Mavericks first-round pick in exchange for Kevin Durant and Fred VanVleet. The Phoenix Suns are blowing it up. Wow. The Phoenix Suns are giving up Kevin Durant and Fred VanVleet for the 4th overall pick and a first-round pick next year. What is that? As they go out there and they select Trey Washington with the 4th overall pick. Whoa. What is going on right now? Where's Phoenix? Where is Phoenix at? First off, let's look at the Hornets as they now have Kevin Durant. This is what their lineup looks like. KD, Fred VanVleet or LaMelo, Fred VanVleet off the bench. You've got Nick Smith Jr. at the shooting guard position. Brandon Miller at the 3. Kevin Durant at the 4. And Mark Williams at the 5. If they bring Mark Williams back, what is his contract? Yeah, they're going to have to re-sign Mark Williams. Center might take a hit there for the Hornets. Wow. I love that trade. You're Charlotte. You haven't competed in forever. You finally have a good season. You come up short in round 2. And now they go out there and make a splash. And you've got to wonder, is Devin Booker available if you're the Phoenix Suns? Somebody has a big package they could send for Devin Booker, I have to imagine. Wow. The Suns are finally just looking to go all out and rebuild. And that probably means that Devin Booker's going to be on the move here soon. That I did not see coming as they take Trey Washington from North Carolina, a guy that I was pretty high on but didn't want to take number 2 overall. The Suns must have liked what they saw out of Trey Washington as we now move on to the Utah Jazz with the 5th overall pick, the Utah Jazz are going to select Rad Ware, 6'4" Asian point guard out of Miami. Rad Ware looking to be yet another great representation of China as he grew up there as a child. Jeremy Lin is going to be proud of him as he looks to compete. Rad Ware, I mean, we know he's one of the most athletic guards in the draft. He's 20 years old. I like that pickup if you're the Jazz. How are him and Keontae George going to play together? We'll see how that works out, but I still like the pickup there as we go to Sacramento now. The Sacramento Kings, with the 6th pick in the 2026 NBA draft, are going to select Matt Gravett. Bit of a confusing one there. They have Sabonis. I don't know if I like that, to be honest. Matt Gravett. I don't like that pickup for Sacramento. A defensive-minded center sure is what they could use behind Sabonis, but with the 6th overall pick, you could probably trade that and make your team a little bit better and find a backup center in the free agency class. Not the greatest. Yeah, wow. Let's just move on. I mean, he had a good vertical, very athletic, but I don't know if I like that pickup for the Sacramento Kings. As number 7, the Chicago Bulls are going to step up and take Bruce Hood. So the center's starting to fly off the board here with these last 2 picks. Yeah, Bruce Hood's slightly better than Rondé Wood, but I would like to see where his potential is at. I think it's only a B+, so I think we lucked out. I mean, 63 ball. He's not going to be nearly as offensively inclined as Rondé Wood, who has a better mid-range jumper than we thought. He has a better slightly worse three-point shot than we thought, but still pretty solid all around. In my opinion, I'm pretty happy with the fact that we took Rondé Wood out of the 3 centers available, or I should say the 3 top centers available, and we still have a 16th overall pick coming up here in about 9 selections. Hood, one of the strongest players in the draft, undoubtedly. He was the top bench press center with 28 reps. At number 8, the Orlando Magic are going to select Oho Wumbum out of Liberty, the 6'7" shooting guard, looking to make some noise here in Orlando, but there's a lot of guards there for the Magic. They're going to have to find a way to get him on the floor, or he's probably going to be sitting on the bench for at least a few seasons until he gets a little bit better. So that's a questionable pickup there for the Orlando Magic. At number 9, the Detroit Pistons are going to select Jake Cole. Didn't fall as far as I thought he would. Yeah, overall-wise, he's actually tied with Cliff Russell, but the problem is he's a little bit older. His potential is a little bit lower. Well, it's still an A, but, you know, he doesn't have the defensive side of the ball that the rest of these guys have. I think that is still a solid pickup. You know, they've got defense around him with Isaiah Stewart, Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey's okay. Arsar Thompson's a really good defender, so I don't hate the pickup for the Pistons. We'll see how he goes into their offense, but definitely the best shooting big man in the draft. The Austin Bullets now sit at number 10, and with the 10th pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Bullets are going to select nobody. They're going to trade for Glenn Griffin in the 2026 first-round pick from Sacramento, which I believe will probably be the very next pick after. And the Hawks are going to get the 10th pick and get Grant Williams. So they draft Glenn Griffin, immediately trade him to Austin, and they get the 10th pick and Grant Williams. So they probably already, I had a feeling, had that trade, draft and trade, kind of sorted out. But that, I mean, if anybody remembers, the last time the Hawks made a trade like that, it ended up being Luka Doncic being traded. Obviously, they were trading for Trae Young, so you can't really, like, hate them all that much, but still, I don't know why you make that trade again. So let's see who Atlanta expects to be Trae Young in this draft. They take Stephen Longley, another undersized big man. That's an interesting trade. You get lower overall by, you know, for your rookie, a little bit younger, 19 years old. Still an okay offensive player at the center position. Solid rebounder, solid rim protector. Maybe, you know, a replacement now that they've lost Onyeka Okongwu through trade and Clint Capella. But we'll see how it ends up for them at the end of the day. But they do bring in Grant Williams, I guess, who's a solid NBA, you know, role player. But let's move on to number 11, the Austin Bullets, who just traded back for this pick. They are going to select Tad Conley. So now they have Glenn Griffin and Tad Conley. Tad Conley, the 21-year-old small forward out of Louisville, one of the better shooters in the early part of this draft. How is he on defense? Not the greatest. So we'll see how him and Glenn Griffin play alongside each other. But the Bullets trying to reload with some young talent after they failed in the expansion draft, trying to get, a win now opportunity. At number 12, the Raptors are going to step up and take, Musiala corner call out of Nigeria. I was hoping he would fall a little bit farther. I was going to try and make a trade up for him at maybe 15 or 14 because we sit at 16. Corner call goes number 12 to Toronto. At number 13, the Knicks step up and take Sean Wesley, the probably most athletic power forward in the draft, as we are now getting close to the end of the lottery. The Grizzlies are going to step up and take Gustavo Nanali out of Argentina, the 6'6", athletic and strong, defensive-oriented small forward. Number 15, the Pelicans step up to the podium. They are going to trade it for Josh Hart. So bringing Jay Hart back to New Orleans as the Knicks break up the Villanova Wildcats in New York again. I mean, they already did technically getting rid of Dante DiVincenzo a year ago, but let's see who they have to trade for. They trade Josh Hart pretty much straight up for Guy Kennedy. I don't know how that helps them compete. He's an older guy. He's an okay shooter, solid defender. Awful defender. I thought he was solid. Wow. That trade does not look very good. You got rid of your best defensive guy on the perimeter in Josh Hart, and maybe, you're counting on OG Anunoby to really come out there and compete. But you got rid of Josh Hart. In return, you got a guy that cannot really play defense at all. Chip Jenkins is here at 16. Rodney Moody's way down here. I wouldn't mind getting Rodney Moody in the second round. We're not going to go through the entire first round at this pace, but we've got some options. Dave Wilkins, one of the better shooters in the draft. The only problem is can't really play defense. I mean, he's solid. He's a solid defensive option. But Drew Carl's here, 20 years old, 6'2", okay shooter. Driving dunk is not really there, but he can slash, he can get to the rim. What is his defense projected to be at? Speed with ball, 79, not the greatest defensively. He's okay. He's right around average. We really don't know a whole lot about him. His speed is definitely not where I would like it to be at, because I would definitely prefer a point guard who's a much quicker, much more athletic guy. We'll have to see about that. Shooting guard, here's the options left. Anderson Tatum's there. He's, a solid option, but he's not really projected to go until much later in the draft. Anybody down here? Stephen Washington Jr., one of the potential shooters in this draft. Shannon Ball, the fourth Ball brother that is not really a Ball brother at all. Quinn Perdue is still there. Small forward, Dave Wilkins. Sebastian Valentine, definitely not who we're going to go with. I don't really like him as an option. Travis Mogbo is there. Man, this is tough. Tyson Ross, Craig Winnington, Ted Carlson, Tors Vilson, Corey Sims is here. We took center last round, so I'm not expecting to go, center again, even though Dak Tremmel is here, and he's one of the really good shooters in this draft. Jamison Monroe as well, one of the better shooting centers. But what if we go power forward? What if we just shore up our big man depth, and then in the second round we go point guard? I mean, I wouldn't hate it. Gerard Pickett, solid shooter. What is his, let's look at his speed. Speed's not the greatest. Block is okay. Offensive rebounding is okay. I don't know if I like him enough to take him here. What other options do we have? Drew Carl. Ian Longley is one of the better offensive weapons at point guard. I mean, we could bring him in. He's an okay defender. I mean, he's not terrible. Kobe Reyes is there. Gabriel McKinney is there as well. What does he bring to the table? Solid shooting. Perimeter defense is solid. I'm between Drew Carl and Ian Longley. And, man, I think slightly younger. Ian Longley, slightly more refined. I think we're going to go with Drew Carl just because of his athletic output. I think is a little bit better than Ian Longley. He's not going to be a starter, obviously, but he actually performed really well at the combine when it came to shooting college threes. But obviously, he was not the most, the highest when it came to NBA threes. Let's go ahead and simulate now, too, as we're done with the lottery, to our second round pick. We will take a look at what happened in the rest of the first round after our 16th overall pick. So the Kings went Craig Whittington. Sebastian Valentine was projected to us. I just didn't really like his offensive output. Let's see where he stands. Yeah, not very good. But don't get me wrong, he's a lockdown defender. The Warriors bring him in, maybe kind of mentored by Jimmy Butler because they have a similar archetype. Ian Longley goes to the Mavs with an 85 3-ball. Man, I might regret that if I'm being honest. Chip Jenkins falls to the Grizzlies. He has a not as good of a three-point ball as I thought he was going to have. He's a slightly better defender than I thought he would be. Anderson Tatum falls to Milwaukee at number 21. And here's the final, 10 or 11 picks. Clay Cook, Gerard Pickett goes to Chicago. Dave Wilkins to Cleveland. Paris Hunt to Toronto. Gabriel McKinney to the Spurs. Tyson Ross, Darrell Woodson, Rodney Moody did go in the first round. Jalen Williams. So wait a minute. What the world? Jalen Williams, the third one. Obviously, we have J. Will. The Thunder still have J. Dub. Originally, they had both J. Will and J. Dub. Now they have Jalen Williams, but this time it's spelled the same exact way. That's going to be very, very confusing. But we do have a second-round pick. I don't know if this guy's going to make the roster. Definitely could be an option. Anybody interesting left? I mean, point guards, we've got Kobe Reyes, who I was, close to taking there. Bradley Kersey, straight up, probably the best shooter in the draft. Defensively, not that good. I don't know if I want to go just straight offense. I really don't know. Or do I go Travis Mogbo, who probably brings a little bit more on the defensive side of the ball? No, he's actually projected to be worse on the defensive side of the ball. I say we go Bradley Kersey. What's the worst that can happen with a second-round pick? As we now will be able to simulate to the end of the NBA draft and rookie signing period. I'm going to have to go through and, help all these teams sign guys that they should and do not sign guys that they should not. But hey, Bradley Kersey, 95 3-ball. That's really solid, and defense is not awful. So I think I like that second-round pickup. But that's where we'll end this episode. Next episode, we'll have free agency, we'll see progression, and we'll see where everything goes from there. Then we'll simulate and obviously get into Season 2 going forward. Thank you all for watching this one. I know this is long, but the draft is the biggest time of these series, so I really, really wanted to give you guys an in-depth idea of how this draft, or what this draft was like. I can't believe Kevin Durant got traded. Absolutely crazy stuff there for the Hornets, but I like the trade for them. Let me know what you guys think about that trade and what you guys think of this draft overall. Did you agree with my selections? If not, comment down below. If you did, I'd still love to hear what you had to say. Thank you all for watching this one. I'll catch you all next time. Have a great day, everybody.